Okay, I know you can barely see me. It's dark. Don't watch this review. Just listen to it while you jog or something. We just got out of the Batman, the newest Batman flick joint, starring Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz and other people. I gotta tell you, I was not as excited for this movie as I was as like the rest of the world. I looked at the trailers and I thought, okay, like listen, I love Batman. I'm the biggest Batman fan ever. Probably not, but I love Batman. But I don't know, the trailers just really weren't doing it for me that much. I don't know, like I watched them and I thought, we'll see. And the movie was about what I thought it would be, but I mean, it was good. It was a good movie for sure. I'm not gonna sit here and say it was bad. I thought there were parts of it that were some of the best Batman content ever. But I'm here with my dad. I saw it with my father, who you can't see because it's dark. What'd you think, Dad?
I liked it.
Yes, he did. So I'm gonna spoil this whole movie. I don't want any of you to complain that I spoiled the movie for you. I'm saying it right now. I'm gonna talk about the plot and all that crap because I don't feel like filtering myself. I just want to talk about this movie and how I feel about it. First off, I think the biggest issue with this movie is the length. It's 3 hours, and it's not that the movie's 3 hours. It's just that it feels like two movies slapped into one. So basically, there's like three plot lines going on in this movie. Really, just two. There's Batman versus the Riddler, and there's Batman and Catwoman versus Falcone, and that whole thing. And it's two different plot lines that kind of merge at the end, but it still felt like halfway through the movie, you're like, okay, this is the climax, everything's wrapping up, and then there's a fight scene, a good fight scene between Catwoman, Batman, and Falcone, and then it ends, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. That would be the end of any other movie, but then the movie keeps going for like another 40 minutes, and you're like, oh, okay. Well, why don't you talk about this movie, Dad? You're the big Batman connoisseur. Tell us what you thought about it, in detail.
I thought it was good. It was long.
It was long.
He had to fight Penguin, and then he had to fight Falcone, and then he had to fight Riddler. Then Joker shows up, sort of, as a cameo.
Yeah.
So I just felt like they packed maybe too many villains into it. Kind of like a Spider-Man 3 type of deal.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought it was pretty good. It didn't need to be 3 hours. No, I think it could have been broken up to 2 hour-and-a-half movies. But,
yeah.
I thought it was good overall.
Yeah, what did you think of Robert Pattinson as Batman? Because I've been hearing a lot about him, and I thought he did a pretty decent job, except for, I think my biggest issue is I feel like it wouldn't be that hard in this universe to figure out Bruce Wayne as Batman. I mean, he's always unavailable for contact. You never see him in the public eye. There's like one scene in this movie where he's in the public, and that's the funeral. And even then, he's like really quiet, and he's just kind of looking at people. I feel like some guy on Reddit could look at that and be like, this guy could be Batman. He looks like him,
Yeah, he basically had the same personality when he was Batman or when he was Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I felt that way too.
He had no alter ego. That's part of Batman, is having an alter ego, and he really didn't.
Yeah, even when he's just Bruce Wayne in the Batcave, when he's alone, he's still different than when he's Batman.
Yeah, he's basically Batman all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I think in the sequel they could improve upon that. What do you think of Catwoman, though? What do you think of Selena Kyle?
She did a good job. I think they could have made her more of a thief than she was, because I felt like she was only stealing to help her friend. In Catwoman, I feel like she just steal to steal.
Yeah, I think they tried to make her a little too... I think... Because Catwoman to me is always kind of like, not really an anti-hero, but just kind of like whatever side is convenient for her. And in this one, she just felt like Batman, except the only difference is that she kills people, or is willing to kill people.
Yeah.
But I still thought she was probably the best character in the movie, actually.
Probably.
And yeah, I thought she was decent. She's no Michelle Pfeiffer. I still think Michelle Pfeiffer is the best Catwoman.
Yeah, and I think even Catwoman from
Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, I think even she was a better Catwoman,
Yeah.
This Catwoman was good though. I liked her too.
I'll tell you what, I didn't really feel that much of a love connection between the two in this.
No,
one.
it felt a little forced.
When they kissed, I was like, this kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other Batman media that I think does it a lot better. They feel like a good duo, but just not
like
a couple.
Friends.
Yeah, partners.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think of Gordon?
All right.
I think Gordon was good.
All right. Yeah.
He was
good.
Yeah. He's not a commissioner yet, so kind of like Penguin, he's sort of rising up the ranks too.
Yeah, it's year 2.
Yeah.
So.
It's the beginning. This definitely felt like a kind of like Spider-Man: Homecoming, where it wasn't an origin story, but it was still like him learning how to be like who he's meant to be.
Yeah.
It felt a lot like Spider-Man: Homecoming.
It's worth watching in the theater.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think it's definitely worth seeing. Definitely, if you're gonna see it in IMAX, because the action scenes in this movie are really, really good. My favorite one personally was the car chase with Batman and Cobblepot. I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw Cobblepot, I thought he looked ridiculous. I thought he looked more like Butch. You ever seen Gotham? He looked more like Butch than Penguin. He's like a giant. He looked like the Kingpin. But I actually thought he was all right, and I'm glad he wasn't really a villain. He was more just like, hey, he's around. You know what I mean? But he wasn't like an antagonist that Batman had to go up, except for the car chase scene, obviously. But I thought that car chase scene was good. Thought the Falcone action scene was good. I love the scene at the end where he helps all the people out of the flooding. I love where this movie leaves off. I think it leaves off really well with Gotham. Like there's consequences. Gotham is completely screwed by the end of the movie. I mean, Gotham is already a piece of crap city, but by the end of it, you're just like, who would want to live here? I mean, Jesus, you know.
Right.
But so what did you think of the Riddler? Riddler's the main antagonist of the movie? There was a lot of debate. Who's the main villain? Riddler's the main villain of the movie. What'd you think of him?
I thought it was good. I thought that in the end he won. He destroyed Gotham.
Yeah.
And, I thought he did pretty well.
I thought he was good. I liked how he was like they really did a good job with showing that this guy is like insane. Although I will say the first riddle in the movie is what does a liar do when he's dead? And the answer is he lies still. And I'm like, that feels more like a joke than a riddle.
Yeah.
And then at the end, Joker shows up. And for the most part, as this movie was playing, I thought, there's no reason why the Joker can't be Joaquin Phoenix, other than Joaquin Phoenix doesn't want to do it. But then at the end, there's a guy in a cell, and he's like, you want to know how I got these scars? And then you're like, oh, that's the Joker. He's going to be in the sequel. Okay. I mean, I love the Joker, but let's use some other villains. Come on. Like, there's so many. Batman has all the best villains, and if you using it's like if you use Green Goblin in every single Spider-Man movie. It's like, Spider-Man has a lot of other villains, right? It's like, like you can use Mr. Freeze, you can use Bane, which it seems like they were teasing him because Batman at one point like injects the venom in him, and I love that scene where he just like goes crazy on the guy, and Catwoman's like, Jesus, man, you can't do that. That's messed up. But yeah, like I said, there's parts of this movie, there's a lot about this movie. I would say about 80%, maybe like 70 to 80% of this movie I think is great. I think it's fantastic, and just like filmmaking wise, this movie is really good. The music was great. I think Michael Giacchino did the score. If not, sorry, but he did great. The music in this movie is badass. The Batman theme is great. Catwoman's theme is really good. And Dad, you said there was a scene where they used the original Batman theme?
They kind of mixed it in a little bit, so you have to really listen in to hear it, but it's in there.
Yeah, I didn't.
The fight scene when he's fighting Riddler's people.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool at the end, how there was a bunch of Riddlers to show that like his presence is really felt throughout the city. This is probably the most dangerous Riddler's been in a long time, actually.
Yeah, he was dangerous.
Yeah, he was. I thought the acting was very good. My other complaint is I felt like Alfred was barely a character in this. He felt like he was in there because you have to have Alfred in a Batman movie.
How do you explain him away?
Yeah.
He has to be there.
But it felt like they're like, well, we need Alfred in the movie, but we don't really have anything for him to do.
So we'll blow him up.
That was hilarious because Bruce Wayne's a dick to Alfred the entire movie. He's like, you're not my dad. And Alfred's like, oh, okay. And then as soon as Alfred gets blown up and wakes up from a coma, he's like, oh, Bruce is here. And Bruce is like, you lied to me, Alfred. And Alfred's like, God damn it, this kid is never happy with me, is he?
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
He just got blown up.
He just got blown up. And the first thing Bruce says to him, it's not, are you okay? It's, you lied to me, Alfred. It's like, come on, man, get the guy a break. He got blown up. But anyways, so yeah, not much else to say about this movie. I did think, all right, so as a Batman fan, I think this is a good, very good, but not quite amazing movie. It's definitely like it's definitely like a first part of a trilogy. I felt like the whole time I was watching it, I was like, this is a good start. This is a good beginning. You know what I mean? And I think by the time, because apparently they're making this a trilogy, I think by the time all 3 movies come out and you look at them all as one big thing, I think we'll enjoy this movie a lot more. Kind of like Spider-Man Homecoming, like when you first watch it, you're just like, oh, that was a good start. And then when you look at it, you know, kind of like Force Awakens. That's how I felt with Force Awakens. I was like, that was a good start, you know? And that's how I feel with this movie. It's a good starting off point for this Batman. Catwoman left at the end, a Bloodhaven, probably setting up for a spinoff or something. Penguin's getting his own show, which, I mean, I guess, sure. Yeah, I thought this movie was decent. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's amazing. I'd watch it again. You know, it's a better Batman movie than like Batman and Robin. But yeah, I think this is a good movie. I definitely recommend it. I think if you're not, I will say this, if you're not like a Batman fan, if you're really not into it, and and maybe you're like, you know what, this is maybe my chance to get into Batman, I wouldn't start with this movie. I would start with, you know, Batman 89 or the Dark Knight trilogy or the animated series or the New 52 Batman or, you know, other stuff, the Arkham games. But this is not a movie like, I feel like people who aren't really into Spider-Man could probably watch the Tom Holland movies and be fine. I feel like people who aren't really into Batman but want to get into it, I wouldn't start with this one. I would start with something else. This is a movie for Batman fans, and I think as that it works. So 1 to 10, Dad, what would you give it?
Give it like a 8.5. It was pretty solid.
Solid? Well, I would give it a 7. I think a 7 is good. There are parts of this movie that I thought were amazing, and there were parts of this movie I thought they weren't boring, but they kind of dragged on too long. And I felt like the pacing of this movie could have been better. But I still really enjoyed it, and I'd still recommend it. I think it's a very good movie. As a Batman fan, it was satisfying. So that was it. That's how I felt about The Batman. And I'll see you guys next time when I review something else. Probably, what am I going to review next? Probably Morbius, which is going to suck.